Hi, friends. Randy Flickinger here again, and I wanted to tell you that I'm going to be starting a series that I've been threatening for a while. It's time to do it. It's a series on spiritual warfare. It's one of my favorite topics. I will cover this topic in two sections. One of them will be spiritual warfare within the world, and then also spiritual warfare within yourself with what goes on. Each day, all of us are bombarded with thousands of messages from both sides of the spiritual war, from the good side, which is led by God, and the bad side, which is led by Satan, the evil side. Some people don't believe that God or Satan exists, that there is no hell, there is no heaven. You live on earth, you die, you hope you had a great life, and that's it. I will tell you for a fact that's not true. There's way too many proofs that that is not true, including people who have literally died on the surgical table. There's a book out about that, and I can't remember the name of it, and I apologize, but it'd be worth looking up, about people who die on the table, go to hell, and are brought back. And they are grabbing the doctor saying, whatever you do, don't let me die. I can't end up there. And the vast majority of them who are deceased, die on the table, and are brought back, end up accepting Christ because of what they see. There is a war. It's going on. And if you don't think there's a war, if you don't think there's two sides, let me just throw something out at you. Have you ever seen anything that you would describe as evil? I'm thinking of school shootings. Somebody heinously, callously going in and shooting a bunch of innocent children. There's no other way to put that than that is an evil act. And yet, how do we know that's an evil act? There has to be some standard, some measurement, because you can't have evil if you don't have good. Because if you don't have both, you have no way of distinguishing. We all would agree those are evil. That means there has to be another side. There has to be something good. I had a gal come into my office, and I shared this story before, but I'll share it again in shortened version. Come in to argue with me about a book that my friend had written. And she was unhappy and wanted to read this book because she just didn't understand how us crazy Christians could believe in a God that she didn't think existed. And so I asked her that same question. Does evil exist? Well, yeah, sure it does. How do you know that? Well, it's what I believe. I think it starts with how we treat people. All right? Question then. This has just had happened. Bin Laden had just been shot. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, that was a good thing because he was a bad man. And he tortured people and he killed people, and the 9/11 thing that he masterminded, and the whole works. And yet, at the same time, I pointed out to her, millions of Muslims all over the world were mourning the loss of the great fighter, the great leader against the evil United States. So which one was it? Was it good or was it bad? You see my point? If you leave it up to people, they're not going to be able to decide. We're never going to agree. We have elections every 2 years, and it shows you quickly that we don't agree on what's best or who would lead us better or any of those things. That's part of our system. It's a great system, but it makes the point that you have to have good to be able to discern what is evil. And for Christians, that good starts simply with God. The Bible is that standard. God is that standard. He's the one that sets it up. And if you and I don't understand that, we as Christians are missing out. Paul in the Bible does a great job of confirming spiritual warfare, which is what we want to talk about in Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10 through 12. Let me read it to you. I'm going to give you what I got here with my glasses. Sorry about that. Drop them. Nothing like unprofessional here. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of this dark world, against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of evil in the heavenly realms. So right there, he is telling us, here is the deal. This is going on. It's a battle. And he's not the only Christian author to point that out. Jesus' half-brother James says simply, resist the devil, submit yourselves to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. That's James 4:7. And then John even says, you are from God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world, which is Satan. Satan runs and does his best to run the world, but God is in control of heaven. Okay? So that's a great start to this series. What I'm going to close this first part out with is 2 books that are fantastic, that will help you understand spiritual warfare in the world and also individually. And they are written by Christian author Frank Peretti, P-E-R-E-T-T-I. They are This Present Darkness and Piercing the Darkness. 2 books, tremendous. I highly encourage you, go find these books. You will love them. Tremendous, and they will teach about spiritual warfare. So now that we've started on spiritual warfare in society, the next portion of this video will be part 2. You'll have to find it. It'll be coming out quickly, and it will give you actual examples in the world of what I'm talking about. So thanks for starting with us. Look for part 2, and we'll continue on with spiritual warfare.